name's Kate, and I'd like to share with you a story about a school child who's very magical. And this story is called Cross versus Fury. Talia Meredith Fury clenched her fists and squeezed her eyes shut. The words she sought formed in her mind. Snapping her eyes open, she unclenched her hands, flaring her rigid fingers outwards, and hissed the incantation. Takarum faromus draganos! A stream of invisible energy fired from her fingertips into the cloud-filled sky. Slowly, the nebula began to move, picking up speed as it went. It curled inwards, then outwards, expanding and then pulling back, but never taking tangible form. Talia Meredith Fury berated herself. Again, Talia. Again with fury. This was, after all, what Talia Meredith Fury was trying to harness, just as her name suggested she could. Or should. After all, Mrs. Cross lived up to her name. Mrs. Cross was cross. Mrs. Cross was always cross. Talia Meredith Fury had never known a day when Mrs. Cross wasn't ranting or raving at a student, teacher or parent. Even the principal felt her ire. This morning, Mrs. Cross had truly outshone her past severities and dished out such cavilled and cantankerous crossness that when the bell rang for lunch, the whole class met for an emergency meeting. "She made me eat my maths work," poor John Mirrorbrooks wailed. "I still have banana in my hair," railed Julian Grieve. "I wet my pants from crying," wept sweet little Fatma. Talia Meredith Fury looked into their desperate eyes, seeing each one of her own beautiful coloured pencils broken by Mrs. Cross because she hadn't packed up fast enough. At the sound of Mrs. Cross's approach, the class slunk away. And that's how Talia Meredith Fury found herself lying at the far end of the school oval, re-clenching her fists and squeezing her eyes shut. "I'm not just fury," she whispered. "I'm furious." She drew in a long, deep breath and held it. 1, 2, 3. Takarum farum astraganos! As though charged with new batteries, invisible energy exploded out from Talia's entire arms at the swirling mass above her. Round and round, inward and outward, from out of the dance a form took shape. First a wing of giant proportions and as large as 3 school buses, followed by a partner wing extending in the opposite direction. An enormous torso slowly emerged, joining the wings as they began to clearly move in a controlled, rhythmic beat. Talia Meredith Fury did not err as the horrifying head with the face of fury materialized. With the beast near complete, Talia Meredith Fury dropped her guard and let a smile creep in at the corners of her pursed lips. In that instant of satisfied distraction, a shadow crept over the far end of the cloud's sweeping tail. In a flash, her smile was gone. Talia Meredith Fury hardened her eyes just that bit more. "I am furious!" But the shadow had taken hold, growing up the tail to the torso of the beast, its beating wings becoming still. The growing darkness dared consume the entire nimbus. She didn't need to see to know that Mrs. Cross was looming over her. "Get up, you layabout! I won't have you bringing filthy dirt into my classroom!" An image of broken pencils scattered across the desk flashed into Talia's mind as the shadow completely swallowed the magnificent beast. "You broke my pencils!" Talia cried, consumed with fury. And I'm furious! A brilliant light shot from behind Mrs. Cross's head that filled the entire sky. Mrs. Cross's shadow vanished, and from behind her scowling face, the dragon from within the clouds reappeared in all its monstrous glory. Its powerful head lit up by the emerging sun, which glittered off its pearly white nebula, fangs protruding from its cavernous mouth that moved with such swift grace down, down, down. Mrs. Cross turned her head to the sky, shaken by the young girl's ferocity and intense upward gaze. How dare... Mrs. Cross's face contorted with fear, and the rest of her sentence was lost to the abyss inside the beast. Talia Meredith Fury's skyward focus was broken as the wind flipped her hat onto her face just as the schoolyard bell rang across the grounds. Talia pulled her hat from her face and sat up. She looked into the sky, but quickly looked away from the intense sunlight. Far away there were some wisps of clouds, but otherwise it was a clear blue sky. Talia Meredith Fury made her way back to class and couldn't help but smile when she heard Julian Greaves yelling, "Does anyone know where Mrs. Cross is?" I hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope you can make magic with the clouds. I know that I love just lying on the grass when it's not so muddy and just seeing what amazing shapes I can find forming up there in the sky. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye!